even if you just meet and greet her in person. I mean, if you see her on social media, she's a beast. Not only in the ring, but in the weight room as well. She's a competitive power lifter. I'm not sure if you knew that. She's a competitive power lifter. She takes her fitness very seriously. She's very impressive to watch in and out of the ring. But not only that, she's just an awesome woman. She's great with the fans. The fans love her, and she definitely deserves that title. But all the ladies that took part in that show deserve nothing but the utmost credit and respect from any wrestling fan, really. And I think any woman who decides to go through the training to become a professional wrestler deserves a world of respect, because training it is not easy. It's not easy at all.
So you trained in the United Kingdom.
I did.
When you came back to America to wrestle, how did you have to change your style?
There was, it was little things. In the UK, their style is more technical. If you ever watch any of the old school, it was called World of Sport at the time. If you ever get the chance, hit up YouTube and Google World of Sport, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But in the UK, traditionally they would wrestle rounds. It'd be like round 1, round 2, round 3, and it was best 2 out of 3 rounds, and so on and so on. But it was much more technical. So to come over to the US, it was a lot of little things that I had to, I guess, relearn. Nothing too extensive. I was never a flyer, so I would do a few moves off the top rope, mostly middle, but I was never much of a flyer. I was always a technical guy. But there was some small things that I had to adjust. Nothing major, just small. Like, for example, a certain move would be called something different in England as opposed to over here. So I had to relearn some of the terminology. But all in all, I mean, it's like riding a bike. You learn, you train, you learn, and then you just have to kind of get used to how other people do it. You know what I mean?
What do you want to accomplish as a competitor before you hang up your boots?
I think the one thing I want to accomplish as a competitor is the same thing that everybody else wants to accomplish, and that's win championships. Plain and simple. In my 14 years on and off as a competitor, I have never held a championship. Not a single one. And that is the one thing that has, for lack of a better term, that's one thing that's eluded me my entire career, without trying to sound too much like Jim Ross. I have never held a championship, and just like anybody who gets into this business, they want to win championships. If you are a competitor and you get into the wrestling business and you don't want to win a championship, then what the hell are you in this business for? That's the way I see it. So the one thing that I want to do before I hang them up, or before I decide, you know what, it's broadcasting full time for me, I want to hold a championship. Plain and simple.
And you branched out broadcasting into other sports. You're going to be involved with some MMA matches coming up soon, right?
Yes, I am actually the ring announcer for the Cage Wars mixed martial arts team here based out of Albany. It is an amazing organization. If you have never been to a Cage Wars event, we have one coming up November 24th. I think that's Thanksgiving weekend. November 24th, it's a Saturday at the Rivers Casino in Schenectady, which is a beautiful casino. If you've never been down there, I highly suggest you check it out. It's a beautiful casino, beautiful hotel. This will actually be my 4th event with Cage Wars. They're seen all over the world on Fight TV. But I highly suggest you come in person, because it's an event. It's got that big fight feel. But yeah, I do the mixed martial arts ring announcing. I am the public address announcer for the Albany Empire of the Arena Football League. You remember the Arena Football League?
Yeah. Yep.
I'm the public address announcer for the Albany Empire. I'm also the public address announcer for the Albany Patroons. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but it's essentially minor league basketball. They play out of the Washington Avenue Armory. So I've been a busy guy.
Which sport do you prefer calling?
Oh man, I love them all. To be honest with you, I love being a part of the big events. I love that big event, that big event feel. Obviously, the Arena Football League. The first game we had last season was the first arena football game in Albany in over 20 years.
Wow.
And they play in the Times Union Center, and the Times Union Center was sold out, so I was calling a game in front of 13,000 people. And the electricity in the building and the energy from the crowd was unreal. But then you get an event like Cage Wars, much smaller crowd, but still, it's mixed martial arts, and it's that high intensity action, and the crowd just picks up on it. I just love being involved in that big fight, big event feel. So I really can't pick one. Good job. I can't really pick one over the other. I just love being involved in all of it.
And MMA is still relatively new in New York State. Why did it take so long for New York to allow it?
There were political reasons. There was actually an event a number of years ago. I think it was UFC 3, and now it's on like UFC 295 or whatever it is now. But a fighter had gotten involved in a very serious incident, and he was very seriously injured. I think to the point where he was knocked into a coma, to be honest with you. And at the time, the New York State Legislature had found out that a UFC event was scheduled for a couple months later, and then the New York State Legislature said, nope, not anymore, because of the injury factor. And over a number of years, the New York State Assembly was presenting legislation to re-legalize professional mixed martial arts in New York State, but for political reasons, it was always held up and could never make it through the assembly. Fast forward to a couple of years ago, now those certain political elements that were holding it up are no longer holding it up. So it was actually a very heated debate. I was actually there for the debate. Very heated debate, very heated election, and it was eventually passed through the legislature, and Governor Cuomo signed the legislation allowing professional mixed martial arts in New York State again. The one thing that people get confused is it wasn't that mixed martial arts itself was banned. It was professional mixed martial arts along the levels of UFC and Bellator and those other major organizations. So they couldn't host an event at, say, Madison Square Garden or, I think it was June, they held the event at the Utica Auditorium or Adirondack Bank, whatever it's called now. It was the professional aspect of mixed martial arts that was banned. So you would have these amateur fights happening, a la Cage Wars, that were still going on here in Albany. And kids were still able to train at places like Mohawk Valley Mixed Martial Arts in New Hartford, shameless plug. But it was the professional aspect. And mostly the argument centered around fighter safety, which is an important concern. But thank goodness it was passed, and now we're having all these great events here in New York State.
Circling back to Dynasty, without Mike King working with Chris Envy, will we see the Dynasty return to New York, or do you think he'll keep it closer to home in South Carolina?
Well, Chris Envy right now, first and foremost, I would love to say that if anybody follows Chris Envy on social media, he has the newest member to the Envy family. A new little Envy just joined the ranks a couple of days ago, so his hands are tied with that at the moment. But again, I know as much as the fans know. From what I know, the Dynasty will be returning next year, just taking a bit of a break. So I have been hearing about events in the late January, early February. So the best thing I can say is just keep your eyes peeled. And we'll go from there. But I know right now Dynasty is on a bit of a break while Chris Envy, tends to the newest member of the Envy family, and rightfully so.
Right. And in the meantime, we have New York Championship Wrestling to look forward to. I know the card's still being worked on, but is there any particular talent you'd like to see on those shows?
I would like to see as much talent as possible on those shows. And I would love to see teams like, unfortunately, now that Travis Dorian is kind of working his way down in his career, I'd love to see Pretty and Gritty get in there and mix it up with anybody that they can. Of course, Dynasty Tag Champions, Ben Amin, Greek God Papa Down, the Conspiracy Horsemen, they're always lurking in the background, figuratively and literally. I would love to see those guys get in there and mix it up with a lot of the young talent. Insanely Rude is another pair. Those guys are just tearing it up on the independent scene here in the Northeast. I think they would be a great addition to any company that they compete in. I would love to see as much young talent as possible to come out and get their faces in the ring, get themselves in the ring, and show the world what they can do.
At day one, we didn't see any women's wrestlers on the card. Are there any plans of bringing women in?
There are. That is something the general manager is working on. We are currently in negotiations with several female talent to bring them into NYCW. Nothing solid yet, but again, keep your eyes peeled, and we'll be making announcements hopefully in the very near future.
We know season's beatings will be in December after November tag title turmoil. Anything planned for that card yet?
Not yet. Like I said, right now we're focused on tag team turmoil. We have the list of teams that we're ready, that are ready to go at it. Really, it's a matter of putting the tournament together and stacking the brackets, and just getting the wheels set in motion. Once that is all taken care of, we're going to be working on season's beatings. Right? But, right now, everything is still in the works, but we're getting there.
And if anybody wanted to be a part of it, how do they get in touch with you guys to get on the card?
Really, just go to the NYCW page, send us a message, let us know who you are, where you're from, who you've worked with. And if you have videos, promo photos, or anything, just send them over to us, and we will definitely take a look at them. We are always on the search for new talent. We're always on the search for, you never know, the next big star, the next John Cena, the next Triple H, the next multi-time champ. Who knows? The next Ric Flair. Woo! Might be lurking in the shadows some here in the Northeast. Just reach out to us and let us know, and we'll go from there.
And if anybody wants to book Tino Caesar on a show, how do they get in touch with you?
They can find me on the Facebook machine. Find me on Facebook. Shoot me a private message. I have dates available. I have very few dates available for the rest of 2018. But I have some dates available for the first couple of months into 2019. So they can always find me on Facebook at Tino Caesar. Shoot me a private message. I got a message button there. Shoot me a private message and we can talk. we'll talk turkey, as they say out on the West Coast.